Good afternoon. Today is Sunday, the 13th Sunday after Pentecost. We read Proper 16 today. There are three key elements involved in these scriptures that tie them together. The first is Moses placed in the bulrushes and lifted out by the Pharaoh's daughter, and then told that she could have a nurse, and it was his own mother that cared for him. The second is a challenge from Romans chapter 1 that tells us that we are to present our bodies a living sacrifice to God. This is our reasonable service of worship. What does that have to do with Moses? We'll see, I hope, in a moment. And then third is Jesus asking his disciples, "Who do men say that I am?" And the disciples answer all kinds of things. And then it comes to Peter. Peter, who always seemed to be around to stick his foot in the mouth. Some people say he opened his mouth just to change feet. Poor Peter. He gets a bum rap because here is a time when he gets the correct rap. And he says, "Thou art Christ, or Messiah, the Son of the living God." Jesus has been teaching all along that he was the Son of Man, and now he's revealing himself as the Son of God. Is there an issue there? I believe not. I believe what is being said is that the Son of Man and the Son of God are the same person. The Son of Man then is a divine title, not a human title. Some people think that this is a reference to the incarnation. I believe that's incorrect. But let's not get off on the textual criticism today. Let's look at three scriptures taken to us by the lectionary wisdom. The three scriptures taken together show us the way of seeing Jesus Christ, the Greek way of seeing him. To the Jewish way of seeing him is Messiah. Those of you that get a little flustered with words, Christ and Messiah mean the exact same thing. Now, there are many times in the Old Testament where there are metaphors for Messiah, metaphors for this coming one. And it is important that we see them as that. Moses is a pre-incarnate metaphor for the Son of God. Jesus has not come yet in his humble incarnational person, and therefore he teaches us some lessons through the Old Testament to get us ready for that delivery in Bethlehem. Moses is a pre-incarnate metaphor for the Son of God. Let's look at this a bit. Born under threatening conditions, he's lifted out of the water and raised by his mother, a metaphor for baptism. He's raised in a dangerous land. He was falsely accused later of wrongdoing. And when it's time, he leads his people, both Jews and those Gentiles who also follow, to freedom and to Canaan land. Jesus, then, we must see, in his life is baptized. Isn't that interesting? For most of my ministry, or for at least half of my ministry, I believe that you had to be immersed to be baptized. I was corrected by a member of my family who said to me, when Jesus is baptized, all the water in the world is baptized. It's all made holy. And this person had an infant who was a grandson who was about to die within a day or two. And based on the fact that Jesus was baptized, his grandson could be baptized. Those of you that get Twitter-pated over how much water there is, should take the words of A.B. Simpson, the founder of the Christian Missionary Alliance, seriously, that if you are satisfied with the baptism that was given to you as an infant, you need not be rebaptized. Of course, the focus of the denomination was immersion. And if people were rebaptized, your numbers look better. I am not being sarcastic. Second, Jesus satisfies all this water when he's baptized. And in dying, in baptism, dying and being raised, Jesus raises his body a perfect sanctification. I must do this to fulfill all righteousness, Jesus says. And through the Apostle Paul, in Romans 12, 1 and 2, we're told to present our bodies a reasonable service of worship. Rather, we sing hymns like "These bars of bone hold my soul," and we can't wait for our soul to get to heaven and to be released from this body. We miss so much if we miss this. Our bodies will be our bodies in heaven only without sickness, weakness, and ill health. It is desperately important that we realize that God says, present your bodies. Well, if he's any kind of God, he'd tell us to present our souls, wouldn't he? No, he wants our bodies. It's essential that we see this, men and women. Essential that we see this, because it's our bodies dedicated to God, which is our reasonable service of worship. And then finally, this brings us to the gospel of the day, Matthew 16, 13 through 20. Jesus is on an inquiry date with his disciples, and he says, "Who do people say the Son of Man?" A term for God. That's for another time. Who do they say that I am? The disciples guess and attempt an answer. And Peter answers, you are the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Now, dare we take that innocently and true, or do we take it as a metaphor? I don't think metaphor can be twisted to fit here. Who do people say that I am? You are Messiah, the Son of the living God. Right answer. And the point of the sermon this morning is, men and women, that until we have that answer right, we will not have had the scriptures right. And it says in verse 17, where he says where Jesus says to him, flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but your Father in heaven revealed this to you. Why did Jesus say that to Peter? Well, it was to keep him humble. And he said it to him before Peter could take credit around the rest of the disciples, say, see, I had it right. See, I had it right. Humility. Humility is part of the fruit of the Spirit that God says will attend to all who have given their bodies and souls for a reasonable service of worship. Now, in light of all of this, I ask, what is Jesus after? Well, first of all, it's the continuity of the Son of Man and the Son of God. It is no one less than God who's been among them for 3 years. That is why Romans 12, 1 and 2 makes complete sense. They've been walking around trying to get their lessons in their soul right, and he's saying, present your bodies. Don't miss this. Second, God revealed truth to the one who will evidently remain silent long enough to hear God. This is Peter opened his mouth to change feet, always had the answer like, I know, I know, I know. And God said through Jesus, you're right. You're right. The rock of testimony. When Jesus says, this is the rock. Upon this I will build my church. It's the rock of testimony, which is the foundation of the church. It's the words, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God, upon which Jesus will build his church. Will he use Peter? Without doubt. Hell can't prevail against this. Look at the church today, and many of us would say, well, hell is a prevailing. But it's not. The church is alive and well, as the Gaithers said. But then Jesus says, don't tell anyone, because he was in the progress of revelation. And it was not time for the large crowds to hear what Peter and the apostles heard. Now, know Jesus as he sanctifies the water is a metaphor by what Moses did. Give yourself to God as Paul directs. Worship the living God. Get about it. Don't tarry. Work as if everything depended on you. Thank God it doesn't. But Paul says in Philippians 2:12, wherefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, not as only in my presence, but how much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. What is he trying to say? Well, he's saying Jesus is at work in you, both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Therefore, present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service of worship. Watch me as I've been among you all this time, and know me. Know me, man, as the Son of God and the Son of Man, Messiah, Christ, your Redeemer. Peace be with you.